So today, I attended a demonstration at Norwich Library. This demonstration was organised by Antifa and the local TRAs, though Antifa claim now to have shut down, and the reason they claim to have shut down is because they're on the verge of being proscribed. But before we get into all that, however, there is a Students Against Tyranny event we're doing on the 4th of May outside the University of East Anglia's sports park. There was an incident a while ago where a woman went into the female changing rooms and was greeted by the sight of a naked man. She brought these concerns to staff, who told her it would be discriminatory to question them. The UEA Sports Park then released a statement where they didn't actually address any of our questions or concerns. Instead, there was pretty much a nothing statement, and I did try calling the UEA Sports Park about this, but they actually just directed me to the statement, this nothing statement. So we're descending on the UEA because we want answers. Between 2018 and 2022, there have been 40 rapes on campus, so you would think a situation as serious as this would be taken seriously. However, it doesn't seem like that is the case. And so we will be descending there on the 4th of May, 1 PM, outside the UEA Sports Park. Be there. Let's keep female spaces female. Now, to mark Transgender Day of Visibility, a stall was set up at Norwich Library. This stall contained a doll of mastectomy scar, and it also contained so-called art of hypodermic needles, which are used for injecting testosterone. Now, I get it, art is subjective, but it's so clear what they're trying to do here, and the fact this was in the children's section of the library, at child height, is absolutely despicable. If you want to put that in the adult section, in a section that's clearly marked 18 plus, go ahead, but do not put that in a little child section where you are promoting that ideology and that culture to children. But there was a good argument, and I'll actually show you this one quickly. So this guy pulled up a scar on his arm, and he said, well, scars happen. Yeah, scars are natural. And yeah, but was that self-inflicted? No, it wasn't. He accidentally did that. He accidentally caused that scar. So yeah, all bodies have scars. All bodies come in different shapes and sizes. That's okay to promote. But not self-inflicted scars. You wouldn't have artwork promoting self-harm to children, would you? Because that is self-inflicted. Same way gender reassignment surgery is also self-inflicted. You have a mental disorder, and what they're doing is they're giving physical remedies for a mental disease. Because gender dysphoria is a mental issue.
Walk around with a hack straight slash across my wrist because...
Oh, and you want to promote that culture to children?
I would promote to children that yes, they should join the Scouts because I got it in an accident. Bodies have scars. People have scars. Children, some of who will grow up with scars, shouldn't be told it's ugly to have a scar.
Okay, so that's
Don't say I should be bad because I've got a scar.
That was an accident.
Scars happen.
That was an accident. That was an accident scar, yeah? That was an accident scar.
Told me that you think scars are bad, and children should be told there are no scars.
Was that self-inflicted?
I mean, in the sense of, I probably shouldn't have been climbing down that cliff, and in the sense of, there was a pause.
Did you grab a blade and did you deliberately slash your wrist?
I'm sorry, mate.
What does it make if someone did?
It doesn't matter.
No, there's a
Scars
difference.
happen.
There's a difference between an accident scar and a self-inflicted scar.
Okay,
These
so
are self-inflicted because people are dealing with gender dysphoria. It's a mental illness.
Okay. I know someone has a scar across here, right? Slash right across here. You're telling her that's ugly. You're telling her she shouldn't have
I didn't say that was ugly.
You're just saying scars shouldn't be shown to
what I'm
children.
saying is you
She
shouldn't
hide that scar from
promote
children.
deliberately self-inflicting yourself, right?
So
deliberately ruining your body.
It's not ruining a body.
It is ruining your body.
you're
You're
telling
chopping.
my friend
You'll
she-
never be able to have an orgasm again. Your
That's
sex
not
drive
true.
is going.
Wait, have you ever fucked a trans person? Because that clearly shows you have no
That shows you your
That
skill
shows you
more than
are
anyone
so
else.
obsessed with
No,
trans
hold on,
people
hold on.
that you aren't willing to
Do
listen
you know who
to them.
Richie is? Do you know who Richie is?
Richie?
Yes.
No.
Richie Tulipar, right? Richie, look him up on Twitter. Good friend of mine, detransitioner, just like that lovely person there, right? Detrans, yeah.
So can I just be clear though? You're saying asexual people who don't want to have sex, are they bad? You're saying asexual.
Where did asexual come into it?
This stall was met with an abundance of complaints and was swiftly removed by Norfolk Council, with the council leader, Kay Mason Billig, actually issuing an apology to parents on Mumsnet. This is paedophilic. This is the deliberate targeting and indoctrination of children. And they wouldn't talk about transgender day of visibility. They're constantly talking and telling you whether they're trans or whether they identify as the opposite sex. They're always visible. They're not invisible. We know they're there. We know they exist. We just don't agree with it. And I'm entitled. to disagree with it, just as much as you are entitled to agree with it. What you're not entitled to do, however, is promote this ideology to children. Now, as a journalist working for Urban Scoop, I wanted to attend this demonstration and ask questions. That's my job as a journalist. I wanted to attend and ask questions. But they made that really difficult. And so it didn't end up being me asking questions. It ended up being more of a debate and people calling me fascist and accusing me of all sorts of shit, including Holocaust denial.
Okay, I don't believe a Holocaust is real.
Oh, yeah, hold on. I retracted that.
But you still put the statement
No.
out there.
Actually, did you watch? What did I say? What did I say exactly? Tell me what I said. Tell me exactly what I said. If you're going to throw around accusations, tell me exactly what I said. What did I say?
Pardon? I bet you're a Holocaust denier.
Yeah, but what did I say?
Oh, you tell me what you said.
Now, not only did I want to talk to members of the now defunct Antifa, and the reason I say now defunct is they've gone underground in order to avoid the repercussions of being potentially prescribed. As we know, they are on the verge of that at the moment. I also wanted to speak to the TRAs and staff at the Norwich Library because they were against the shutdown of the stall, and so I wanted to ask them questions as well. But unfortunately, I get there, and they, as I said, made that pretty much impossible for me to do. I did attend, by the way, with a detransitioner friend. I'm not going to mention her name, and I filmed a lot of content with her, which I'm not going to release because she's asked me not to, which is fair enough. Now, my good friend who is a detransitioner was female to male. Lived that way for years upon years, yeah? And I think it was like 7-8 years she was a trans. And she was taking testosterone for all of that time, and it started when she was a little kid. She is still, by the way, and this was years ago that she stopped, she is still getting moustache hair. And she's going to be dealing with that her whole life. She was actually lesbian, and they promoted this ideology to her, and she thought it was brilliant. Until then, she eventually realised it's a cult, and is now wide awake to everything that's going on. And so I do want to give a massive shout out to her. She's absolutely brilliant. Now, I came from behind the library, and obviously there's a massive crowd of people on council property just outside the forum, which is the building the library is in. And they were all having their protest, whatever. I come down, stand just by them, and there are obviously a lot of heads turning, people getting on their phones, same old shit is to be expected. And I was actually approached then by 2 people who were asking me questions. Now, I was setting up my tripod at this point, nothing was recording, so I'm setting everything up, yeah? And these 2 people were lovely, I'll give them that credit. And I was talking to them, getting into a conversation, having a little bit of a debate about, what they believe, what I believe. And they were much nicer than everyone else was. Now, while I'm talking to them, I then have some council staff come round and they start asking me questions. Hey, who do you work for? Where is this piece going? What channels it's being uploaded to? So I told them, truthfully. And she said, right, normally you've got to ask permission to be filming on council property. Right, so I've got to ask permission, but you've given the lefties permission. Cool. If you're going to give them permission, you've got to give us permission as well. There is also the Local Government Act, which basically stipulates that council property is public property, considering it's built using taxpayer money. So no, I don't need to ask permission. I'm not going to ask permission because I don't need to. And if you have a problem with that, you need to call the police because I'm not going to move. If you're going to give the lefties permission, you've got to give me permission as well. Believe it or not, I pay bloody taxes. We all do, yeah? I have a right to be there. And she was basically saying, right, you're okay to be here as long as you're not going to cause any issues. Right, okay. So, well, I'm not here to cause issues. I'm just here to have a conversation, speak to the local TRAs and Antifa, and basically get a gist of what's going on for the day. And she said that was fine, and then left. There were no issues until I set up my camera. Once I put my camera on the tripod, immediately all the lefties come down and surround me and are holding flags up in front of the camera and just being absolute assholes. All I wanted to do was speak to you. That's all I wanted to do. I was there to ask questions. Are your ideas that fragile? That me setting up a camera is a huge, huge threat to you? Really? And I think the thing is as well, they were standing there and they were basically going, you haven't got permission to film us, even though I'd just been given permission. Are you joking? And then what was it? We had another man come round who was staff at the forum, and he was asking me questions as well. And I said, well, I'm allowed to be here. And apparently, I wasn't allowed with my tripod, so I had to film with my phone, which is weird.
Trans activists are once again lying. At least they're not indoctrinating children this time, right? So they basically said that I've been asked to leave foreign property. I haven't, actually. They said I was allowed here. So I'm just trying to film. I've got no AA batteries at the moment. As you can see, I was having a conversation with 2 of them. Lovely conversation, yeah? It was fine until I pulled out the camera. And then immediately... Look at that.
So can they also give you right to use a tripod? Because I think you need to actually sign documentation.
Oh, no, they came down and spoke to me, gave me full permission.
No, they took his details and they did not give him permission or no.
Did they ask me to leave? Did they ask me to
They
leave?
did not ask you to leave, but they didn't give you permission to.
They didn't ask me to leave. They said they gave me permission.
they didn't.
As you saw, I was here having a conversation with two lovely people.
Under health and safety, you have to have a signed documentation to have a tripod for filming.
Are you filming?
At the moment I'm not on that
Do
because
they have a
Why do you
tripod
not
there?
give you permission to film it?
I don't need permission. Because I've already
Yes,
had
you do,
permission.
because you are on private property.
No, I
I-
was trying to get the facts. As a photographer, I have
Hold on,
done
guys.
this
Can
before,
I
and I've
speak to him,
actually.
please? Can I speak to him? Thank you. I just spoke to a lovely lady. Came down, took my details. I told her the organisation I work for. I was having a conversation with two individuals, having a talk about all of this, what's going on today, and then I pulled out the camera. Immediately, they all come down, and tell me I'm not allowed to film. I've been given permission. I'm not causing any issues. I'm not arguing with anyone. I'm not shouting obscenities. I'm just here to report in the demonstration.
Do you need
They're just trying to make it difficult for me.
So, but here's the thing, right? It's council property. If you give one group the right to be there, you have to give us the right to be there as well. You can't just have a blatant double standard there. The bias is so unbelievable. Imagine if they did that to, I don't know, immigration protesters. Imagine the uproar if they gave them permission but not Antifa permission. And so in the Local Government Act 1972, the framework was set that identified council property as being public property. So if it's public property, I'm allowed to still stand on there and I can film because it's public. Yeah? Right of access, yeah? There was another person as well who basically said that if I had the numbers behind me, I'd be violent too.
What makes you say that? So you've got no evidence.
Last time I was at Atlanta, you guys attacked.
I attacked you. Have you been to one of my Manchester demonstrations? Attacked. Police.
Do your job!
I had 2,000 of you lot throw eggs at me, attack me, threaten to stab me. One of your lot is going to prison for threatening to stab me on a public order offence. And you want to say I'm not the peaceful one? You joking me?
All of this, may I remind you, because I wanted to come and film and ask a few questions on camera. I wanted to investigate what was happening that day. I wanted to find out what was going on, but I was rendered unable to because they are so scared of someone dismantling their ideas because they know how fragile they are, that their ideas have no basis or no grounds. They don't even have any definitions. Every social construct, right? The biggest example I've always given is time, right? Time is a social construct, but it can't be 2:30 and decide to be 7:15 because then people would be late for work. No matter what, social constructs always have definitions, always have limitations, always have boundaries, always have rules, etc. Yeah? If you're not going to provide a definition of what a woman is, then it just doesn't exist. You're rendering the term completely pointless and useless. Because what's the point in identifying as a woman if there's no definition for it? Oh, I identify as a woman. Well, what are you identifying as? What's the reason for you identifying as a woman if there's no definition for what a woman is? Yeah, their ideas are fragile, and I would have easily debated them. But no one wanted to talk about that. Instead, everyone wanted to talk about how I'm a far-right scumbag who's a fascist. Also worth noting is this woman here who decided to put a tea towel on her head, playing dress-up as Hamas, all the while supporting a transgender demonstration. Do you know how many transgenders, homosexuals, etc. are killed at the hands of violent Islamist groups like Hamas? Are you kidding me? Now, there was a man in a dress, right? And after I finished packing up, he actually came over and apologised to me. It was really nice. And he said, obviously, I've attended the wrong demonstration because they support Hamas. Yeah? And he was telling me how Hamas slaughter and kill thousands of homosexuals. How the hell can people who support Hamas simultaneously support the entire transgender movement? It just doesn't make sense, right? Now, I did feel bad for this man because he has obviously got learning difficulties. He should be under intense care, not being allowed or potentially encouraged to give in to the whole transgender movement. So that part of it was quite sad, actually, and I felt quite bad for him. But he was a lovely chap anyway, and it was good talking to him, and he did apologise to me for his behaviour. Now, we also noticed this married couple in attendance. A few of you from Norfolk might actually recognise them. Now, these people were joining their far-left friends as they attempted to block my view. The man's name, by the way, is Glenn Springett, a Norfolk Labour candidate for Blowfield and Brundle. What's even more concerning is that he used to work for Children's Social Services while he's there defending mastectomies and hormone replacement therapy for adolescent. You know, a store promoting body mutilation in a child section out of a library. He's there promoting that and protecting that. All the while, he used to work for Child Social Services and is now running as Labour candidate for Blowfield and Brundle. Okay, cool. Here, his wife and him are harassing my girlfriend just over a year ago. Have a look at that video.
I put my face on everything. Reception we would give him if we were given the opportunity.
Keep going.
We're out here this evening to oppose the vile anti-refugee rhetoric this government and the establishment is spouting. Time and time again, they've blamed refugees and minority groups.
Are you going to be a child about this, really?
Do you have to carry on filming?
I'm a journalist. Do you want this reported?
No, not by you.
Oh, that's a shame. I'm going to, because I'm a journalist.
No, you're not.
I am
you're
right
not.
now. Huh?
I'm 17, but it's a different
Oh, yeah.
How did I say act? How did I say act?
So before we do get on to
Yeah.
a bit of safety,
I thought it was the immigrants that were like
the road and things like that. There are some people.
Oh, well, yeah, there is. They do have
Alex, mate, get down here.
and that, but, you know, 17 and younger is
We would also
clearly not
suggest that afterwards don't go anywhere.
Who said that?
We know that there is
Who said
a far right presence. in
That
the city.
17-year-olds aren't children.
Make yourself safe, your
Nobody
friends
said
safe,
that
your neighbours
17-year-old
safe.
children.
Well, where's that coming from?
He's not the only name we have. In fact, 90% of the people who were covering my camera that day, I have your names as well. But I'm not about doxing people just because they're a little bit annoying. Now, a lot of the people who were covering that camera, right, told me they didn't want to be filmed. Right, okay, well, what you don't realise is, all I have to do is take a little cut of you blocking the camera, telling me you don't want to be filmed, post that to Twitter, and that's what goes viral. That gets that video even more known. So in fact, you're more likely to get seen if your behaviour is exactly the same way it was. Now, luckily, these Antifa were a little bit more they were a little bit more well behaved compared to other places I've been, like Telford, Swansea, etc. But nonetheless, I'm there to report on your demo, right? Yeah, I don't believe in your favour, whatever. But if your ideas are strong enough, it's not going to matter, is it? Because people are going to watch it and go and support you anyway. But you know your ideas are fragile. You know you have no basis whatsoever for this whole gender identity belief system. And so you are scared of people who disagree coming to these events because you know it's going to get disproven easily. And people laugh at you. The general public laughs at you. Now, while I'm standing around filming them, in the background I can hear what can only be described as some sort of cult-like singing.
Pardon?
They're all singing their own hymns. It's like Scientology.
The choir aspect, just to believe the event.
Yeah, wait, it's supposed to
I'd rather a choir than him.
Today wasn't the biggest success in the world, right? I'll give you that. I wanted to go there to investigate, to ask questions, and that didn't happen. Instead, they spent the entire time blocking the camera, not even listening to the speeches. Right, because they were all giving speeches, singing, etc. You would think that instead what they were doing was they were blocking me from listening, but then they wouldn't be able to listen to themselves because they were too busy talking to me. So, yeah, it wasn't the biggest success in the world. Reflecting on it, I would have rather just, I don't know, maybe I should go masked up next time and interview people. Maybe that'll work. It's difficult. Yeah, all I wanted to do was find out what's going on, speak to people, potentially debate them on camera. I don't know why they have to act like this. I mean, there's been a lot of events where I have gone to where, you know, they have allowed me to go and interview them, right? They haven't been blocking my camera the entire time. But it gets frustrating, doesn't it? It gets really frustrating. And you know what's even more frustrating? In response to this protest, is one thing that was taken down, when the store was taken down, was this trans rights poster that basically promoted the library as a trans safe space. This was reinstated after the protest. Yeah, it's back up there now. The store isn't, but this poster is. So they've kind of backtracked on that a little bit. But the stall, obviously, that's still down, which is good. But they've still got the trans rights, safety poster on. And I mean, when I go to these things, and there was a lady who said, "Oh, you're anti-trans rights." No, I'm not anti anyone's rights. You have the right to do what you want. You just don't have the right to indoctrinate children. The same way a heterosexual man doesn't have the right to groom a child. Yeah, you don't have that right either. You're not looking for equal rights. You're looking for privilege. You are looking for supremacy. The same way Islam is. Islamist supremacy. The same way modern feminism is. It's about supremacy and man-hating. It's the same exact thing. This LGBTQ movement isn't about equal rights because they can't name one right that we have that they don't have. Can't name any. The only rights that they don't have, that we don't have as well, by the way, are the right to indoctrinate children, the right to perv on women in the changing rooms, the right to enter a female prison. They're not looking for equal rights. They're looking for supremacy. That's what's going on right now. So listen, obviously today wasn't the biggest success. You should see the video we got planned next time though. Much bigger, much better. See you all soon. Cheers.
Thank you for watching. Alternative media outlets like Urban Scoop can only exist with your support. So if you like the content you see, please head over to urbanscoop.news where you can support us today. Thank you.